Hello, welcome to Spirit Cocktails. I'm your host, Pierre. Today we're doing a review on Not Your Father's Root Beer. I keep on saying Not Your Daddy's Root Beer, but it's still not your father's, not your daddy's, not your papa's. It's not your father's root beer. It's something that's a little different, but it's root beer. And it's an ale. So is it a beer? Is it root beer? It's still a beer, because root beer is beer. It just depends how it's brewed. But it's an ale. Then again, you make stuff like a cider, that's a hard cider, which is kind of an ale, so it's the same idea. So basically, you can turn any type of soda you want really into a beer. Because if you ever actually made soda, it just uses like champagne yeast and just syrup and your flavorings, and then you basically have non-alcoholic soda. But if you let it ferment, then you'll have actually some alcoholic soda, which is basically what this is. Now this, I already tried it before because I had it, as you can see, one of my Instagram pictures. I had this with a ice cream, and it's great in a root beer float because it tastes just like a regular root beer float. But this is more on the spicier side because this one actually has kind of a more of a sarsaparilla flavor to it. It's extremely sweet. If you ever had a very good sarsaparilla, it has that really high sugar content, which is one thing that you'll find out about this if you ever had it. It's good. It's definitely hard to get to. There's actually a couple other ones on the market. This is the first one I saw, but ever since this came out, I'm seeing tons of ones pop out. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is like Coney Island's root beer, which is definitely a little different. Coney Island's root beer is more like a plain root beer flavor to it. It tastes more like actual root beer than it does a beer, and not that really spicy, sugary kick of a sarsaparilla that you'll get with this one. But both in their own right are very good. But I'll show you exactly how this one tastes. And price-wise, it's not bad. It's a little higher than your standard beer. It's about like $12 for a six-pack, which is kind of what you will pay for a decent craft beer, which is basically what it is. Another thing you'll see about this is the carbonation. It has the same style of carbonation that you will get with a soda, and it dissipates just like a soda would. It doesn't have a head like a beer or like an ale would normally have, but this is still an ale. If you ever had Red's Apple Ale, you'll see it does the same thing. Depending on how it's made, you don't have that head retention because they're not going for a thicker, like full body beer. They're going for the effect of like with the Reds, you're going with the apple, and with this, obviously, a root beer. So they're getting more of a soda, but it's not your kid's type soda. See how it tastes. As I said, it's sweet. It's very carbonated. If I drop a piece of ice cream in this, it would just fizz completely out. It did it before. When I took that picture, I spent half the time just getting rid of all the overspill from when I put the ice cream in and actually taking the picture. But that's a good root beer float. It does that. But it does taste just like regular root beer. I mean, eerily just like root beer. But it does have that little bit more of a spice flavor to it, which does put more on the line of a sarsaparilla. Because if you ever have a sarsaparilla in comparison to root beer, there is a difference. It's like having I can't think of the name offhand, but basically other type of beers, like you take like say ginger beer to ginger ale, there's a difference in how they're made. Just like you got your sarsaparilla and you got your root beer. Sarsaparilla, it's more directly from the root, so it has more of that spice characteristics to it. It's a little more sweeter. Where it has your root beer, it's kind of more of a cleaner flavor to it. It's still sweet, but it doesn't have as much of a spice kick to it. But this is very flavorful. The aroma, it just smells like root beer. It's I guarantee if you're drinking this stuff, you'd be like, you don't even taste the alcohol. You do get a very mild ale flavor with it. That's one thing I can say about the other one, the Coney Island. You don't taste any beer at all. It doesn't taste nothing like beer. This, you get a very mild kind of beer notes to it, but not really hoppy. Well, it's not necessarily hot, but you won't really get the malt characteristic that you get with beer. But some ale flavor getting probably from the yeast. Now the other one, it just tastes like root beer. This one, sarsaparilla. It's good. And I definitely suggest if you can get a hold of this, it's very hard to get a hold of. It took me forever to get this. Every single time I went, everywhere I went, sold out. I call him like 6 times a week, sold out. The only reason I was able to get this is because one of the places I usually go to, he has them stored in the back specifically for his customers that always come. So he actually saved me a 6-pack. I bought it. It's like, wasn't planning on buying it, but he had it. I wanted it. I've been wanting to get it for a long time to get for a review. As I said, I've been trying to get this review out there for a while, but finally got it out there. But this is a really, really good beer. Well, ale, root beer, however you want to call it. But it's definitely hard to get. Now, there are other ones out there. If you can't get this, as I said, there are some substitutes. But if you can, it's definitely worth it. But as I said, it is hard to get. So you just find some other substitutes if worse comes to worse. But Coney Island is definitely very close second. Those two, I basically rate at the top. There's also a root beer whiskey, which I definitely had to get a hold of. I can't remember the name of it, but I seen it on Facebook. I gotta get it. If I can get it, I'm definitely doing a review. But figure for $12 or $11.99, about $12 for 6-pack, it's worth it. You can get it, get it. If not, you're missing out. But I hope you enjoyed this review. Be sure to like us on Facebook on Superior Cocktails. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any other ideas for other beer reviews, liquor reviews, I have a review coming up in the next few weeks for Jim Beam Devil's Cut, which I got today. Because I need it for a recipe, so, well, I have it now, so I'm going to do it. But, not this week, but soon. But if you have any ideas for different reviews you'd like to see, let me know. If you guys have any products you want me to review, let me know about that too. But as always, drink responsibly.